From gatekeeping to hidden costs and unexpected timelines, here are the 5 things I wish I knew before pursuing the indie publishing route. So, if you're interested in embarking on the journey of indie publishing, this video might be worth your time. Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Jazz, an indie author. Now, this is my self-published 3-part novel, From Ash and Ruin. I originally released them as I completed each novella for this saga. The first one releasing in, I believe, 2022. So I have been playing around, experimenting in the indie world for a hot second now. And oh boy, have I learnt a thing or two. Okay, let's talk about the gatekeeping. It was really surprising diving into the worlds of indie publishing and finding out how little there is available in knowledge, in how to be successful. There seems to be the same few resources that get circulated, but really there is so much more to it than that, and I am still struggling trying to understand the secrets behind success in the indie publishing world. I have joined Facebook groups, I have read so many blogs and articles and YouTube videos and TikToks, and it's baffling. I think a lot of people tend to go down the indie route, like myself, because of this reason as well, that there is a lot of horror stories spread around about traditional publishing. And I believe, for the most part, a lot of them are so outdated now. And even listening to newer authors talk about the agents and publishers and things that they've worked with and the great experiences they had, the narrative about how difficult it is to get traditionally published made me think that indie publishing was the only appropriate path for me to take. I, like probably many others, had a bit of a control complex, I guess. I wanted to release my work the way that I wanted, the titles that I wanted, the cover images, the writing styles. I didn't want anyone to change anything about my work. And while there's nothing wrong with that, I definitely changed that perspective very quickly when I decided to go down the independent road. Because the reality is you are doing everything. Every damn book that you write, you have to edit it, format it, develop it, work on it, do the covers, mess around with the formatting on Amazon as well, again and again and again and again. And then not to mention ads and marketing and all that, which we will get into shortly. But when you are a one-person show, that gets very exhausting very quickly. And that's when I got a little bit of perspective and realized that writing was the main thing that I wanted to do. I just want to write my stories, create these worlds, and let other people do those other jobs. But alas, the lack of information available just has made my indie journey so frustrating and so difficult because I feel like I'm trapped in this bubble and I don't know what to do, where to go from here, how to be successful. I feel like there's a lot of varying stories on what works for people and stuff, but I know Amazon is a huge part of success markers for independent authors, but there's so little information around how to do that successfully as well. And a lot of the information on YouTube is more about low content books on Amazon. When you're starting with zero audience, it's like, where do you go? What do you do? There's so much stuff that I have had to try and find over the years and realize these little pockets that were very hidden at first, and it's like, oh, there's all of this, and I just had no idea. It's not to say it is impossible to find out information, but it's definitely very difficult. And with that in mind, I will definitely be posting a video probably next month about all of the resources and information that I have found along my indie journey to be helpful to hopefully someone else that's also starting out and could use these resources. Now, following on from the, outdated narratives around traditional publishing is my second point: how long it can take to make it in both worlds. I chose the path of indie publishing under the influence that it was going to be almost easier to have success in the writing world. But unfortunately, it takes just as long, if not longer sometimes, to get recognized, to get found, to find your reader audience. I believe a big problem with this is that we are kind of being in this social media age. We get flooded with this like potential of overnight success. And because we always hear those stories from the people that succeed that way, it's kind of assuming that it's just gonna happen overnight. But really, when you look at majority of those people, they have been writing for 10 years. They've been releasing multiple series before that point. So I think there's a lot of pressure that, like, you know, it might happen with your first or your second or your third book, but the path is very unpredictable. And I think it is more of a matter of your book appealing to a certain audience that then just picks it up and kind of goes wild for it, rather than just randomly blowing up for no reason. I definitely think there is a lot more behind the scenes to a lot of these success stories, and that kind of gets brushed under the rug a little bit. But indie publishing is by no means like a fast track to getting recognized as a writer. And I was definitely a victim to that. I think indie publishing is great in the way that you can get your book out faster than you might have been able to through traditional publishing if, you know, it's not getting picked up by agents or publishing houses and you still want to share that story with the world. I do think indie publishing is the perfect way to do that. And I think there's been many instances where books have been independently published because they didn't get picked up by agents or publishing houses, and they've still been wildly successful. On to our third point, ads and marketing. Oh my goodness. I really dove into the indie publishing world without realizing that ads and marketing is one of the biggest ways you will get found as an indie writer. This came as like a big shock to me. Which in hindsight I probably shouldn't have, but I didn't realize how much money and time and effort you have to go into for using ads and like marketing tactics like on TikTok and things like that to sort of see any success in your books if you're publishing to Amazon, because no one knows you exist unless they find you. And the quickest way for them to find you is through you pushing ads. And ads can take time. They're not something that is usually successful immediately. You've got to sort of test and trial. And if you're not super like informed on how to do ads, like this gal, it takes even longer because you're trying to find legitimate resources that provide real help and information. And that's also really hard to do. Another form of marketing that I've seen kind of heavily pushed through like deep diving research is having TikTok accounts and posting like every day or multiple times a day for like months on end kind of thing. And it's like taking snippets of your books like scenes and then turning them into like the carousels that make people want to keep reading and then catch them on like a hook or a cliffhanger, and that entices people to go and buy your book and read your book, which is a lot of work. Trying to think about breaking down my current manuscript that I'm working on scene by scene of stuff that will entice people to want to read it almost feels as much effort as writing the book all over again, you know? And I'm like, oh, damn. And also being like a YouTuber and content creator, I am already inundated with work in making content, and I don't have the time to make all of those TikToks and be ridiculously consistent in posting them every single day for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you know? So it just feels a little unrealistic for someone in my position, or, you know, someone that is also like working full time or has multiple jobs. I think it's a little bit difficult. And again, that huge part of ads and marketing is cost, the cost involved that you're not really prepared for either. You need money for ads to start them up, to keep them going. You need money for marketing. So, you know, buying your books to give them to booktalkers and things like that, to set up market stalls, to go to events. A lot of the events charge you to be there as well, obviously. So you're paying for all of your books to get printed, to take to the market stalls, and you're paying for your market stalls and things, and in hopes of getting a little bit more recognition, finding your reader community, things like that. So that is another huge part that can kind of come as a bit of a shock. Following up with the ads and marketing is Amazon rankings. Now, this is a huge thing that I have just found out recently is a determiner of your success for your book on Amazon predominantly. You have like your first month and your first, like your launch day, and then your month following that to basically prove to Amazon that your book is interesting to people, that people are buying it and reviewing it. And that will push it up the ranks. But if you launch your book and it doesn't keep up the traction, then it's basically telling Amazon that no one is interested in your work and it buries it. So from Ash and Realm, when I released part 1, I released it as its own book in like 2022 again, I believe. And being my first book, I kind of hyped it up a bit to like my friends and communities, and it got like quite a few sales and some reviews. Nothing insane though, but there's like a bit of movement there. But then when I released the second one, crickets. Because there is a whole strategy behind launch plans and releasing your book that I had no idea about. There are sites, which I'll also go into deeper in a resources video about book funnel websites, where you can create author newsletters and connect with reader communities and do like newsletter swaps with other authors. And that is what you use to like build reviews and reader community, so that when it launches, everyone reviews it that's read it in advance, or people are purchasing copies and then reviewing them as well. And that all goes into the funnel of helping boost your book. Your book's Amazon rankings and review counts and purchases and reads on Kindle Unlimited all make an insane impact on how successful your books will be as an indie author. Now, the final point of this video, which has briefly been mentioned in some of the other points, is the hidden costs involved in independent publishing. I really wish I had known just how much it would cost to independently publish my books in high quality. Software is a huge thing that you don't really think about when you're getting started, but it really plays a part. I was using Microsoft Word for a few years and had issues with it crashing on me, had issues with it struggling to function when I had like hundreds of page documents, and you also have to pay for that subscription too. You could use Google Docs, but again, the formatting isn't as great on there, and it's a little bit tricky to use, especially if you're using like Amazon and stuff, because you need to generally have them like pre-formatted. I use Google Docs to print out my manuscripts in my editing stages. Scrivener is a program that I have just recently invested in. It's a one-off payment, which we love. It's about $90, I believe, and it is your be-all end-all for writing your manuscripts, for formatting, for setting everything up. It's amazing. It's so in-depth. I haven't even begun to fully dive into it yet. I'm using it very like primitively at the moment as I slowly learn the things that I need to, so that I don't overwhelm myself. Editing is also something to think about. So you can edit yourself, or you can hire someone to edit for you. You could collaborate with a newer editor that needs portfolio work, but editing and formatting take a lot of time, and you definitely need certain sets of skills with them. So either you can learn them yourself or hire a professional. Same goes for cover arts on your books. I designed my first 2 myself and just knew that they looked like they had been designed by someone that was not a book cover artist. So I found a cover designer that sort of matched the aesthetics that I was after, and I hired her to do them, and I consistently get her to do my covers now because I just love them so much. But that also costs you. And the same goes for character designs and prints. We already brushed on ads and marketing. That is a huge underlying cost that is kind of continuous, really. And even when it comes to PR, you can either pay agencies to help promote you, or you're sort of paying for the resources yourself, either way. If you're running events like market stalls or going to conventions to have tables, that's all a lot of costs that go into that. You need your promotional materials, your banners, your signage, your extra art pieces and things like that, bookmarks. And even when it comes to your book launch, having a newsletter that is usually free to a point until you reach a certain number of subscribers, and then you do have to pay for your newsletters. Sites like BookFunnel, also some of them have free versions, which then you have to upgrade if you want the sort of more advanced tools that are provided in them, or you reach a certain number of like readers. It is definitely the difficult part about independent publishing is you have access to release your book to the world without a, publishing house or an agent, but the catch is you pay for everything. You have to cover all of the overheads, and that can be a lot, especially if you are putting in the effort to try and make this your full-time thing or even just your part-time thing. You really want to be successful, have a reader community, be able to write books continuously. It definitely is expensive. And those costs add up for sure. I definitely do not regret starting out as an independent author. I just wish there was more accessible information and support for newer authors to understand how to make it in this crazy world. Indie publishing is fun, it's stressful, it's a wild ride, definitely worth it. It's great that we do have this option to independently publish our work for the world to see, but it would be nice if there was just a tad more transparency around a few things. Well, I hope you found this video helpful or informative in maybe one or two areas. Definitely let me know your experiences and what things you have struggled with or found super easy to do in the indie world. Thank you so much for being here. I would love your support, so please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.